be patient with yourself, um, and give yourself grace. That's a big one because self-doubt leads to self-punishment. And don't do that because then you end up going backwards and not forward.
Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, and today I am so excited to bring you a Take the Doughnut interview with Godinez, who is a professional longboard surfer and a custom surfboard maker. Welcome, Auntie Megs.
Hey, thank you. What's up? How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be talking with you, and we're going to hear all kinds of things about your life today. But first, I have to ask, what's your favorite donut?
Ooh, my favorite donut. That's a hard question. I'm so simple. I love a good either just a simple glazed donut or a chocolate an original donut with dipped in chocolate with rainbow sprinkles.
Okay, this is so
Yep.
good. You have a couple options, but you like to keep it simple.
But I keep it simple, especially if I'm gonna like surf and I need something like really quick to fuel me. I'll just get an OG glazed donut.
See, this is how we do it in the surfing
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Simple, crispy, and yeah.
Tried, true, tested, and approved by this longboard surfer.
Glazed
So,
donuts.
so good. Well, I said just a little bit about you up front, but tell us more about yourself. What should we know about you?
I am a professional longboarder. I wouldn't say I'm the traditional. It's so subjective. Surfing's such a subjective sport. It's based off of so many other opinions, but that's why it can get a little tricky and a little hard, but surfing professionally, you kind of in such a subjective sport with surfing being such an art form rather than a kind of like like basketball, you shoot a ball into the hoop, that's how you get points is more for surfing is style and finesse and reading the wave and criticalness. So yeah, I am not the most traditional surfer, I would say. I look for high performance, and yeah, I decided to kind of retire from professional surfing and go into surfboard making because my father was a shaped all my boards throughout my whole career. And I kind of followed in his footsteps, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of just shaping surfboards and coaching for a couple of the surfers on the WSL longboard tour, like Sophia Kohane. I'm trying to get into coaching a little bit with the Van Hoyenstein brothers, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I always tell everybody, like, they're like, where did you get Auntie Megs from? And I'm like, as much as I say I'm like a professional surfer, at the end of the day, I'm like a professional auntie. Like that's like my professionalism is a professional auntie. So yeah, basically that's me kind of in a nutshell.
Oh, this is so great. I've been so excited for this conversation because I was just telling you before we started recording, like I moved to California 5 years ago and I am like obsessed with watching surfing, even though I've never tried it and don't think my body is situated in a way where I could right now. But the it's just so beautiful to watch. Like I just you could spend so much time just absorbing how people are moving on the waves. And so the fact that I get to talk with you today is such a treat for me. So hopefully this will help for those who didn't already know about you coming into this. Hopefully it'll help them sort of explore that world a little bit more. But let's hit the reset button. For those who've never seen a Take the Doughnut interview before, let me tell you what that's all about. So, Take the Doughnut for me is another way to say carpe diem. It's all about going after the things that you want in life. And for me, it started with this weird thing that happened in college where I left a real donut on a table, but it became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave opportunities behind. So, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donuts instead of leave them on the table. So, this conversation is actually all about going after opportunities, goals, dreams and what does that look like, practically speaking, when we go to do it? So, for you, let me ask you this question. How are you with going after goals? What's that process like for you?
I mean, completely honesty, I take a while. I am really I spend quite a little bit almost like walking myself through self-doubt and overcoming it before I step forward. Most of the times I almost like if I were to paint in an like in an analogy, like I'd be standing at a waterfall and it's kind of like okay, like you know where to jump, you know what to do, you know where to land. It's scary. It is your drop your this is what I always picture at Wilhelmina Falls, Maunawili, in not what is it? Maunawili, yeah, Maunawili waterfall, I think. And I remember standing at the very top, and I'm pretty sure that very top one was like 70 feet.
Wow.
And I remember just being like trusting yourself. And I stood up there for a solid 20 minutes before I jumped. And it's just that constant talk through. So it's the same thing, like how you were saying the analogy of you having that donut, but in a real life moment, you had that donut on the table and you were like, oh, it's the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that come into play before you actually take the initiative to do something. And it's talking through those intrusive thoughts because you have to remember those are intrusive thoughts and not reality.
Mm.
So I spend quite a bit of time talking myself through it, being like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And I have to let myself do that before I step in. Because if I do step into it with those intrusive thoughts and not shutting them down first, I carry it through the process and I don't want to. So I leave it in the beginning and leave it there. So it takes a little bit of time, and that's how I guess in a way overcoming it, but also facing it head on. Yeah.
What a self-aware way to articulate how it's become incorporated into your process. It's like you know enough about yourself to know I actually have to step through this and I have to get all the way through that process to be my best self. I love that you described it that way and that you have so many visuals around it as well. So once you get going, once you start the process, or once you take the first step after you've gone through the like squashing of the self-doubt, what keeps you motivated, especially if you're taking on something that's going to take a lot of time or effort? How do you stay motivated in that process?
How do I stay motivated in that process? Uh Reflection in the past and the future. I know that sounds really deep, but it's especially for me right now shaping surfboards. I I connect with the person and a lot of the kids. The kids is what helps keep me motivated and thinking back, going back to the past. It's like who motivated me when I was that young kid, right? So I think of eras of little Megs, teenage Megs, adult Megs, and it's always going back. And this is stuff I learned in therapy, and I can't express this enough on how great therapy has been for me. But and it's that process and how I stay motivated is recognizing and realizing, okay, who motivated me when I was at that little age? And then I think of the older generation that pushed me. And then I think of the future generation, and now that's where I am. And I want to be that motivation for them. So it's basically living up. That's what motivates me, is seeing the next generation be stoked and super excited about a surfboard, about their surf career, about whatever it is that they're doing and owning it. Because I was so fortunate that the women, and mostly the women I was surrounded with, the older generation of women surfers, they they really took the time to pave that pathway that I was able to walk on. So I think just paying what motivates me at the end of the day is paying it forward.
Yeah,
And then that
that's
sorry, that was so long, but
no, this is what we're here for. This is the good stuff. So paying
yeah,
it forward was a term that I was thinking as you were saying that. And
yeah,
and you actually, well, the first thing you said was like thinking of the past and the future. And I think that the way you just described that really perfectly represents that generationally as well.
yeah,
Um,
I was lucky to grow up in an era where we didn't have, phones. So we really had to listen to the old timers. And that's the way we learned, was watching, doing it, figuring out, mistakes, lessons, all those things. And I want to be able to pass that on and pay it forward, to be like, listen, you're going to make mistakes. I'm going to shape a board that looks completely not symmetrical. So like, and connecting with the kids like that is, I think for me, is probably what keeps me going, is the kids. And also, and it's cool, like shaping boards so far. I've shaped boards for a lot of the kids, but also for the adults. A lot of like older women who are like, oh, I'm not that good of a surfer. That's the first thing they tell me is, oh, I'm not that good of a surfer, but I really want a board from you. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. That board doesn't discriminate. What you're doing is discriminating yourself. So I think those are like my fighting points, and keeps me motivated to be like, no, I'm going to change your perspective and your self-talk. Cause I do it
Um,
myself, doing it too, like where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be shaping. I'm in such a male dominant world. And then I don't know if I can swear on this page, but I'm like, F it. Like, I'm here, I'm doing this. If someone wants to say something, say it. But that's what also keeps me going, is the is that fight of like changing that perspective on the self-doubt. And I think that's
mm.
why I've learned to talk through my self-doubt and know myself in that way, so that I can pass it on and pay it forward to the younger generation.
It's so important to talk about this because self-doubt is the thing that we are so hesitant to express. So I think it's probably a really common thing, but not everybody's prepared to have those conversations to reveal their own self-doubts. So the fact that you can share it like this, I think probably is cluing a lot of other people into the fact that like what they experience is to some degree normal, but like something we have to work through at the same time if we want to get to the other side of it. I think, we've been probably hovering around this answer, this whole conversation, but I want to ask about like what challenges you have, what obstacles come up for you when you're going after the things that you want. And I know you've talked a lot here about the self-doubt that you've experienced and having to work through that. And I'm curious, like, now that it's incorporated into your process and you sort of have given space and room for that to exist,
Mm-hmm.
is that still the biggest challenge for you when you go after things that you want?
Oh, absolutely. It's always, and it's not, it just ends there. It never just ends in the beginning. Throughout the process. And that's what I want to like highlight, is that it doesn't just stop. It never stops, right? What happens is you learn how to deal with it. And that's why it's so important, like you said, touching back with recognizing that and understanding it and knowing oneself. And it'll come in the middle where you're just like, it's that question of like, what the hell are you doing? And for me, it's putting pen to paper to be like, these are the things I'm doing, being very oriented and following them. Um, and another thing with, the struggle of self-doubt comes from comparing yourself. I think for me personally, because I come from a subjective sport and I'm being judged, that's plays into your everyday life, right? Like, in my head, I scored a 9-point ride, but according to the judges who it's up to, I only got a 7. So there's a lot of that. Oh, maybe I should have done this. So it's this natural reoccurring thing that happens for me, for especially for surfers, I think too, is that it plays into their normal life of that self-doubt. But it's another way that I get out of it is also gratitude and humility, is recognize like, wow, I really, surfing got me here. Because before I used to blame surfing, that it was like, I could have went to college. I could have got like a full ride scholarship for soccer. Like I could have done this. And then I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, I got to travel to Mexico for a surf trip. I got to go to France for surf. I got to go to the Maldives for surf. I've got to, and I'm like, wow, to the self-doubt is like really what causes the anxiety and that ripple effect. So yeah, I think it's that constant, it is a constant challenge. It's this constant fight with myself to not and like have the self-doubt in the beginning. It'll happen in the middle, it'll also happen in the end when you're actually succeeding. And it's just this constant, it's this constant battle. But like I said, it's like the question that you asked is like what keeps me motivated is always going back to that and always having that reminder and having that gratitude for me to even have that struggle, I think, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
It
If all
does.
that was a lot, sorry.
No, I mean, this is so relatable. And I think especially given that to somebody like me, it looks like you've had a ton of success. And so it's like, really interesting to get in your head and to see what that actually looks like for you. I'm really curious how you're going to answer this one. So when you think back on your life,
Mhm.
and this could be a personal or professional answer, whatever comes up for you. What would you say is the biggest donut you've ever taken, biggest opportunity, biggest thing you've gone after in your life?
Gosh,
Yeah, it's a
I know
hard one.
I know exactly what it is because this is
Ooh.
one thing that I go back to is a lot of people actually a lot of people didn't know I did retail. I worked in retail stores for 12 years, also professionally. That's how I got made money to travel.
Hmm.
And the biggest one was I was working for Kate Spade at the area support center for Hawaii.
Hmm.
So I was handling the incoming inventory for um, the stores in Hawaii. And I had this opportunity where this very well-off family asked me to be their surf coach and travel around the world with them. And I'm a creature of habit and I'm a Cancer through and through, so I love structure and I love stability. And that Kate Spade job was full time. I had medical, I had a 401k. I was set. Like I was like, okay, this is it. And this was after I took a 5-year hiatus from surfing. Surfing was draining me. I was just like, you know what, this isn't paying the bills. This is hard to figure out with trying to do college and working at Express at the time full time and going and trying to surf and go to college. I was like, this is insane. So I took a 5-year hiatus after that, and I was ready to give up surfing. Like I was just like done. I barely surfed on my free time. I was just like, it's whatever. Like, you know what? It comes and goes. This is my career. I accept it. This is it. And I got the opportunity 2 years into working at Kate Spade. I got a call from one of my friends, and they're like, "Hey, this family is looking for a female surf coach." And I was like, what? Like, why me? Like, what do you mean? And they were just like, no, they like seen that you surfed and this and that, and they like we're all dropping your name and recommending it, like you should take it. And this was the time when they asked me, I had to do inventory for the entire, like, for the whole island of Oahu for Kate Spade. Like I had to do inventory, and that is a lot of handbags to count and to process and to like do all that. And I was like, I can't. I just took a vacation. I can't leave. Like they were like, no, this is like gonna be, you have to choose. And I had no more vacation days. And I needed to leave within a week. And I remember talking to my dad and my mom, and they were like, retail is always going to be there. There's always going to be other jobs. When are you ever going to get asked to travel the world to be a personal surf coach? Take it. And this was in this was April 2018. 2018, 2019. Yeah, I think 2019. And I just went back and forth and I contemplated for 2 days, just like losing sleep over it. And I just remember, I don't know, I remember this like kind of like this daydream of like surfing a wave. And I hadn't surfed in a while. And I was just like, huh, it would be so nice to like surf again. And I went to work the next day and I told them I'm gonna do inventory and that's it. I'm gonna finish inventory. I'm gonna make sure our shrink is, mind you, that was the best inventory we ever had for Kate Spade. We got like 0.03% shrink. If you know, for the people who work retail out there, they understand that. Um, and we finished it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I left Monday to go to the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
I quit my job and I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. And that ripple effect actually got me to get on a contract with Roxy. Mind you, I was 26. And usually you get picked up by a surf company when you're younger and you're in your, you know, your heyday and you're like, this is my golden era. And because of that, because of me traveling, Roxy was just like, and at that time I was a surf coach. So I was also surfing. And I was getting clips and I was posting it because they had photographers and videographers. And, you know, and I had a close relationship with Roxy just because of growing up with Kelia Moniz and a lot of the Roxy girls. We all grew up together. So I knew a lot of the people in the office of Roxy already. And they're like, what are you doing, like traveling the world without a Roxy sticker on your board? Let's figure something out. And that's how, and from that actual moment, that's what changed my entire life to actually revisit and become, I guess, a professional surfer again. Because I stopped at 22. Yeah, 21 or 22, I stopped and I was like, I don't want to follow this anymore. And something in the universe was like, nope, this is where you're supposed to be.
Yep, you're not done yet.
You're
There's
not.
more to do
I
here.
thought I was like, I'm done. I was, you know, I was like, all right, I'm cool with not surfing again. Like I had a great career. I was in magazines when I was younger. I got to win contests and I was like, all right, this is where my career ends. And that's fine. It's just the next chapter in my book. I had no idea that 4 chapters later I was going to come back to surfing and here I am. So yeah, it was that moment of working Kate Spade, like almost like not corporate job, but it was a very good, stable, structured job. And I left it to become a surf coach for a year.
What an amazing journey. I sometimes there are these moments that are like fork in the road moments, and even in that moment, you know what it is. It's like, yeah, this is where I could go this way or this way, and it actually makes a difference in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
And I that's the thing is like, I look back and I was like, wow. And it's a good self-reflection that I look back to be like, because I was really stressed out. Like I was like pulling all my friends to be like, what should I do? And they all said the same. They're like, when are you gonna get this opportunity again? You can always you have a long background in retail. There's always gonna be stores, there's always gonna be positions opening. And also this is corporate America. They're gonna replace you within 2 weeks.
that's sobering. Yeah.
Like
The
facts.
truth hurts. Yeah.
The truth hurts. And I was okay. Mind you, these friends were like my coworkers, and they were like, "I'm gonna tell you what, the DM find someone in 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
you
Oh
might as
my goodness.
well." And I was like, "Holy crap, yeah!"
Yeah.
It- that moment in my life literally felt like I was watching like the devil, like my life was Devil Wears Prada, and I had to make a decision. That's what I felt.
Ah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's a good way to frame it. So, what's happening in your life now? Are there any donuts that are in progress for you?
Big Donut is getting my boards into a hotel, into
Oh,
Romer House Waikiki. I'm getting my boards there for display, and I am working on getting some surf retreats there. Not really retreats, but more we're calling them board meetings. A little play on
I
words.
love it so much.
Yeah. And board meetings where it's like, people think initially board meetings, ooh, I gotta go and dress up. It's like, no, we're gonna go surf and we're gonna talk about boards and we're gonna talk about surfing and talk about your goals and what you want to do in surfing. And sometimes it's as simple as like, I just want to do a big cutback. And I'm like, okay, so what is, you're not gonna, for you, like a gymnast, right? You're not gonna try and do a what you do on the bar is not what you do on the beam, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing with the surfboard. I'm like, you're not going to cut back on a log the way you cut back on a high pro.
Mm.
But there is give and take of what needs to. So that's where the board meetings will come into play. Is I want to sit down with you. I want to talk with you on what your goals are, and especially, I grew up in an era where the surfboard shapers. Not saying that they're all like this, but most of them, all of them are all male, and it was really quick for them to be like, you're surfing it wrong, you need to surf this board. And I'm like, this board doesn't work for me. They're like, well, you're surfing wrong. And that's the reason why my dad started shaping, was because i I was young. I was like 11, and trying to voice yourself also to an elder and your surfboard shaper, like, but you're a 11-year-old, like, what do I know? But at the time I knew a lot. Like, I was like, I don't like this board. I know I don't like this board. And because of that, it made the narrative in my head change to be like, why don't I like this board? Because the surfboard shapers weren't going to answer it for me. I had to do it myself with my dad. So I sat in there in the shaping room and watched him, and being like, and having his background in cabinet making, and he worked on the F-22 jets. So he had a plan aerodynamics, where I was like more hydrodynamic. And I didn't understand exactly why it would work that way. But then as I got older, I was like, sharper rails cut water. This creates this rail is going to create something, the nose, the way the nose is, the way the tail is. So that's, yeah, I think I don't even remember your question where I was going with this, but
The donut you're taking right now, but I
yeah,
think we're immersed in it. It's so
yeah.
good.
It's this donut, this giant glazed donut now, and that's why so that's the donut I'm taking, is the board meetings at Romer House Waikiki.
So good. I am all for puns. And so this is like I'm loving every minute of this conversation. I can't even handle it. So the
I can't take full props for that. That was Ramona from Romer House. She has been I've been friends with her, and she was just like, we need to start these board meetings. And I
shout out
was
to Ramona.
shout out to
Genius.
Ramona. She was like, no, this is it. These are the board meetings, and that's what I want to do, is go out and have literal board meetings and change it, and just be like, no, you come as is. You don't have to put on a tux, a suit. You don't got to like present anything. Just come as you are, figure out what you want to do, figure out your goals, and let's talk about it, and let's see if we can if I can make you a board, if not, give you advice to get a board. And you don't have to order the board from me. It's more of just the passion of making sure you fall in love with the board you have, because that's how you surf better, is understanding, I'm reacting to the ocean the same way that the board is reacting to me. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like you've been giving some great advice the whole way through, but for those who are watching this who have a donut of their own that they want to take, and maybe it's still an idea for them, or maybe they're on their way there, they're somewhere in progress, but they need some motivation. Let's sprinkle some encouragement. And what would you say to those people?
I would say, even even if there is self-doubt, let your body go through it. Write down write down the self-doubt, and talk about it. Talk about the self-doubt. Don't be afraid to talk about it, why it is, because where there's always a why, there's always an answer. And you have to be your own answer, whether and it doesn't have to just come quick. it will come from you talking to your closest friends about it, processing it with them, and that's what it's for, your family. and and writing it down. I think that's a big one for me, is writing it down and keeping yourself accountable. And it's okay, and it's okay to not take that first step right away. Be patient with yourself, um and give yourself grace. That's a big one, because self-doubt leads to self-punishment, and don't do that, because then you end up going backwards and not forward. So give yourself grace, be patient with yourself, and just write it down, and look at it every day, and just be like, okay, just little steps. As long as you look at it, that's a step forward. Yeah.
Oh, this is so beautiful. I mean, pound for pound, so much wisdom here that you've shared. For those who want to follow you on your journey or find where to get a surfboard from you or anything, where can they find you? What link should I put in the description?
My Instagram at Auntie Megs. I think it's at Auntie underscore MEGZZZ. I think I put three Z's in there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or that's my Instagram. I've been doing board orders through there, just because I like to get to know the person that's ordering the board, because it's a true relationship between you and the board, and I'm the crafts maker for it, and I'm responsible for that. So it's important. So that's why I just, right now I'm doing it through Instagram. Eventually I'll get a website. That's the goal. Of course, I'm trying to, that half-eaten donuts on the table right now, with the website trying to be made, but it's there. The donut's there. My fingers are slowly creeping to go and grab it. So
It's one bite at a time, these
one,
donuts, like you can't eat the whole thing all at once. You
I
gotta
can't, I can't
just
bake, I can't surf, so we're working our way to that donut.
Perfect. Well, everybody be sure to check out those resources. I can't imagine that you don't want to check out those resources after listening to Auntie Meg's talk here. And for those who liked Auntie Meg's story, be sure to like and subscribe on this video because there's so many inspirational interviews still to come. But in the meantime, Auntie Megs, thank you so much for taking some time and talking with me and sharing all of your self-reflection in a way that feels really translatable and really relatable for people who are listening.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure for me to be able to spit some wisdom and get my old soul kind of going. So, yeah, thank you.
This was so wonderful. Thank you. And to everybody who's watching this, you know what to do. Go out there, get inspiration, and get donuts. Bye, everyone.